It is time for the second ever Try Maker tournament. This month, I wasn't using wood. Our challenge was actually to make some juggling balls and of course, learn how to juggle. The last Try Maker tournament, I compared Skill Tree and Borg 3D in making beer steins. If you'd like to see that video, there's a link in the description. This time, Skill Tree and I are making juggling balls, and Borg 3D is going to be the one who's judging. The material I chose for this endeavor was denim. I got this denim from an old pair of jeans. The first thing I like to do when working with a new material is test it with some of my tools. I tried saws, chisels, my block plane, but I just couldn't seem to make a chip. I'm just kidding. I know I have to use scissors. Jokes aside, my first step was to cut a strip out of the jeans. This is akin to roughing out the stock. Next, I had to use a stencil to make sure the shape of the ball would be very comfortable. I did lots of research to figure out what stencil would be the best by picking the first one that came up on Google Images. As you can see, I used a very simple petal-shaped stencil. If you'd like to use that same stencil, I left a link in the description to where you can find it. I cut this stencil using a box cutter. An X-Acto knife would have made this process much easier, or maybe a blank razor blade. At first, I tried to use some primer to outline the stencil, but that didn't really show up all that well. What worked much better was actually just using black spray paint. I will use that outline later as a mark to sew along, for forming the ball. Before we can do all that, we have to cut out our blanks. I just made sure to cut out around the pattern, leaving enough room for stitching later on. Once again, this is similar to getting your wood stock down to final dimension. This process may be obvious to some of you, but I'm a wood guy and I got wood on the mind. Getting the thread into the needle was a lot harder than I remember it being. I had experimented with making small wallets and pockets, although when I went to go look at some of the tools and materials I had, it turned out the wallet would be mostly tape. Sure, the other kids laughed at me, but it worked. Well, most of the time, didn't it? To start the stitching process, I first needed to tie a knot at the end of the string. All you have to do is wrap it around your finger, then roll it off. This forms a little ball that gets caught on the cloth. I began stitching at the bottom of one of the petals. You want to make sure that you're stitching in a way that doesn't close up the ball. I don't really know how to describe it, but when you're doing it on your own, you'll figure it out. Or you'll finish stitching and realize that you got your shirt caught in there somehow. To fill the juggling balls, I left one little section open. I managed to pull the ball inside out through that small hole that was left and began to pack the empty ball with popcorn kernels. I found it's easiest and cleanest to place the empty shell into the container and fill the ball from there. Even though I know most of the kernels stayed in the container, I'm sure I'm going to be finding these things forever. Now for the final step of suturing the seam closed. They feel pretty nice. I guess now it's time for the moment of truth, right? And here we go. I've been practicing a little bit off camera. Well, a lot of it off camera, so I've gotten okay at it, but definitely want to work up to 4 balls. But man, this has been a lot of fun. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed doing this project and learning a new skill. Of course, I did know a little bit of juggling before we started, this entire project. I was practicing a little bit earlier, but I definitely was forced to learn how to be a little bit better at the juggling. Whoa. Oh man. If you'd like to see any of the other Try Maker Tournament videos, I left a link in the description to where you can find the playlists for all of them, as well as the other makers' videos on the juggling balls. I really look forward to seeing how Kit makes his juggling balls. Ooh. And I look forward to seeing how Borg 3D decides to kind of judge the way we made them. So, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a like. If you really love what I'm doing here, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.